Jesus' childhood. In Matthew, after the death of Herod, Joseph took Mary and Jesus to Nazareth. Thus, Jesus would be called a Nazarene. In Luke, every year, Jesus' parents went to Jerusalem for the feast of Passover. When Jesus was 12 years old, he went with them and stayed longer without his parents' knowledge. 3 days later, his parents found him in the temple, discussing with some doctors who were amazed at his knowledge. Mary told him that they were worried for him. Jesus replied, "How is that you sought me? Do you know not that I must be about my Father's business?" His parents didn't understand what he was talking about. Jesus and John the Baptist. The arrival of John the Baptist. In Matthew, John the Baptist, who dressed in camel's hair and leather girdle about his loins, ate locusts and wild honey, preached in the wilderness of Judea. People came from Jerusalem, Judea, and regions around Jordan to confess their sins and be baptized by him. When the Pharisees and Sadducees came to be baptized, John reprimanded them, calling them a generation of vipers, that the wrath of God would catch up with them. In Mark, there is no mention about the Pharisees and Sadducees. However, there is added information that John baptized the people in the river of Jordan. In John, the event is placed at the beginning of his Gospel. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, etc. It is quite difficult to understand the language used in Gospel John. Generally, Christians believe that this means the Word, or the Light, or the only begotten Son of God, i.e., Jesus Christ, exists before the world began. A separate being from the Father, the Creator, incarnated as man, rejected by men, can give the power to make men become sons of God. John baptized Jesus. In 4 Gospels, Jesus came from Galilee to Jordan to be baptized by John. At first, John refused because he should be baptized by Jesus, but he did it upon Jesus' request. When Jesus was baptized, the heavens opened, the Spirit of God descended like a dove, lighting upon him. A voice from heaven said, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." Who was John the Baptist? Luke mentioned that Elizabeth, mother of John the Baptist, was a cousin or relative of Mary, which would make John a distant cousin of Jesus. Traditionally, both Judaism and Christianity believe that Elijah will return before the coming of the Messiah, just as John preceded Jesus' ministry. Jesus was asked by his disciples whether John the Baptist was Elijah. However, the answer to this question is somewhat confusing. In Matthew and Mark, Jesus said that John was Elijah, reincarnated. But Luke stated that he wasn't Elijah, but he came in the spirit and power of Elijah. Meanwhile, according to John himself, he was not. Death of John. In all 4 Gospels, John the Baptist's public ministry was brought to a close when he was imprisoned upon the order of Herod Antipas. This was Herod Antipas' reaction to John's condemnation of his marriage to Herodias, the former wife of his half-brother Herod II. Herodias' daughter, Salome, so much delighted Antipas with a dance that he vowed to grant her any wish, to which, after asking her mother, Herodias, she demanded the head of John the Baptist. Her demand was fulfilled. The beginning of Jesus' ministry. Jesus tempted by the devil. In Mark, there is no mention of the type of temptations. In Luke, Jesus fasted for 40 days, and the sequel of the temptation is mentioned differently. Jesus gathered his first disciples. Jesus called 12 Jewish men to be his followers, i.e. disciples. These 12 disciples, followed and trained by Jesus to heal and cast out the devil, as well as teaching theology. These disciples are also sometimes called as the apostles, meaning one who is sent out or messenger. These are the names of the 12 disciples in Matthew and Mark: Simon Peter, Andrew, James and John sons of Zebedee, Philip, Bartholomew, Thomas, Matthew, James son of Alphaeus, Thaddaeus son of Zealot, and Judas Iscariot. In Luke, Judas son of James is mentioned instead of Thaddaeus. John does not mention all 12 names. Most Christian scholars believe that John the Evangelist, Gospel writer, is the same as John the Apostle, brother of James, son of Zebedee. Sermon on the Mount, or Plain, and other sermons. In Matthew, Jesus went about all Galilee, teaching in their synagogues, preaching and healing. His fame went throughout all Syria, and they brought unto him all sick people, those possessed with devils, lunatics, and those who had palsy. He healed them. Great multitudes followed him from Galilee, Decapolis, Jerusalem, Judea, and beyond Jordan. Then he went up a mountain and gave a sermon. In Luke, he did not go up the mountain, but stood in a plain. The Beatitudes, or blessings. In Matthew, Jesus said that the following people are blessed: the poor in spirit, they that mourn, the meek, they who are hungry or thirsty after righteousness, the merciful, the pure in heart, the peacemaker, who would be called children of God, they who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, and those who are persecuted for Jesus' sake. The reward for them is heaven. Jesus said that previously prophets had been persecuted too. In Luke, Jesus referred to the external situation, while in Matthew, he referred more to moral or spiritual qualities. Furthermore, Luke added several woes. Woe to the rich, the ones who are full, to the ones who are well spoken to, for this are what they did to the false prophets. The Law. Many Christians believe that the Sermon on the Mount is a form of Jesus' commentary on the 10 Commandments of Moses. Jesus continued the sermon in the form of many parables, simple story to illustrate spiritual lessons and/or metaphors. Not peace, but a sword. In Matthew and Luke, Jesus said that he did not come to bring peace on earth, but a sword. He came to set man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and a man's foes shall be they of his own household. He that loves his father, mother, son or daughter more than Jesus is not worthy of Jesus. The Scribes and the Pharisees. In Matthew, Jesus told the multitude not to observe nor do what the scribes and the Pharisees told them to do, because they were vain and greedy. He then cursed the scribes and Pharisees because of many things, mainly for their vanity, greed, false teachings, and for killing the prophets. Jesus called them hypocrites, blind guides, fools, and serpents. Then he cursed that upon you may come all the righteous blood shed upon the earth, from the blood of righteous Abel unto the blood of Zachariah son of Barachias, whom you slew between the temple and the altar.